Hello, hello, hello. Speak song. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Look, look. Everything didn't go so great. Everything didn't go so great. Like I didn't get my something like a teleprompter done today. That is, I gotta have to come up with a system. Have to come up with a system for something like a teleprompter. Cause yeah, gotta have the space. Like last week, I did not have as many notes, so it worked. And like this week, not so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No, I am running just a little bit late, but it's all good. Not it's all good that I'm late because the goal is to be here and to be here on time. But it's all good because I'm not going to kick myself because I'm late. I just talked to my client yesterday about her kicking herself for some things, not to get into her business, but for some things that she had done, or for a thing that she had done, and it was so minimal that I was just like, I said, she was like, I just kicked myself for it, and I was like, I said, Chelsea, I said, I get the feeling that you probably kick yourself for a lot of things, and she was like, yeah. I said, well, the goal is to not. The goal is to not kick yourself. Like, even if you know you got to do better, even if you know you messed up, the goal is to not kick yourself. Welcome, 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 you guys. It is Sylvie, your rough edge lady, bringing you some of that 414 tonight. Balance that one in the middle. So, I hope all y'all had a great day. I really hope y'all had a great day. I did. Today was my day off. And even though I had a doctor's appointment that I did not make it to, messing with Sylvie's Adventures on the Bus. I done posted a lot of videos about Sylvie's Adventures on the Bus. So messing with Sylvie's Adventures on the Bus, I did not make it to my doctor's appointment. However, I had a gift card that I had been holding on to for like a year for TGI Fridays. And so I just got on the bus and went and enjoyed my gift card and just continued to prepare for today, even though I'm a little behind and a little, but it's gonna come together. Humble beginnings, and I'm gonna continue to say that. And just like I said, I'm not gonna kick myself. So I wanted to also break down, because y'all been hearing me say a lot of, I told y'all I'm on my Kevin Samuels, and I know that a lot of women were not and are not feeling Kevin Samuels, and many men on YouTube like him. I'm gonna say this before I break it down a little more. The other dude that's doing similar to what Kevin Samuels is doing, I can't stand him. I can't stand him at all. I can't. I've actually been on his platform. His name is Mr. Let Go. If y'all go and look up Tasha K on Mr. Let Go, the one that she's on, I'm on, because we were actually up there together. It took a lot of Sylvie, and I say a lot of Sylvie because Yvette would have been Yvette, and I don't believe anything would have been accomplished if Yvette would have been up there, because I would have brought my raw. And even though I did not bring my raw in my attempting to express my opinion, he became very emotional and didn't want to let me speak. Even when a man was in agreement with me, to whom he had no problem with, until he was in agreement with me. Once he became in agreement with me, then he became disagreeable with the man. Once Tasha K came on the platform, because she's a larger platform, like she's the one of the largest YouTubers out here, he could receive Tasha K's. One thing for sure and two things for certain. My finances may not be where many women or men who feel like, because I talked about people who feel like their finances make their psyches. So my finances may not be where many of theirs are. But in the time that Most High has had me preparing for such a time as now, I can promise you my psyche is probably in way a better place than many people whose finances are in a much better place than mine are at this point. While I'm learning how to handle them a little better as well. So I already said to the Most High a long time ago, don't release nothing into my hands as long as I can't handle it. I don't need it. I don't need it. Just provide. I'm good with that. And I've always been provided for. Never have you seen this righteous one forsaken, nor her seed begging bread. It ain't happened. So I said that to say, where I'm coming from as far as on my Kevin Samuels is not that I'm trying to come and hook up any six-figured woman with a six-figured man. Mine is more of a psyche thing. Because in my watching Kevin Samuels, I watch these women. That's why I went to my daughter and was like, you don't get no smoke to the women that called in. I watched these women call in. Most believing because now that they're entrepreneurs and have a six-figure salary of their own, they're deserving of this six-figure salary man. Like he just supposed to be like, bow, I want her. She makes six figures like me. Like no other standard applies. Or as though this man is just supposed to accept her the way that she is and then do all the changing for her. There's no balance in that. And that'll bring me to Eartha Kitt. So I'm watching the Kevin Samuels, and he had Eartha Kitt and Diane Carroll. Those are often two of the names that you'll hear when he's doing the ratings, like rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. You can't be a 7. You're going to have to be a 6 or 8. If you get to saying that you're 8, he's going to start asking you, so you think you Beyonce. Now, I will tell you this. He puts Kelly above Beyonce. Many people don't do that. Many people don't do that. He puts Kelly above Beyonce. So if you Beyonce, you were the 8. If you Kelly or Halle back in the day, you were around a 9 or a 10. Diane Carroll, I think he put it like a 9 or a 10. But he didn't put Grace Jones on the scale spectrum, but he gave Grace Jones her props as to being one of the just the baddest chicks, out there. So when I'm speaking about I'm on my Kevin Samuels, it's because I want and need ladies for our minds to be right. I made a video about Anima, and we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, the Eartha Kitt, he went on ahead and played Diane Carroll what she said early on in the video. Diane Carroll said, after 4 marriages, I realized that I had to take a look at myself as the common denominator and see that I was hard to deal with. He kept letting Eartha Kitt say throughout the video, he kept running back, compromise? Compromise for what? For who? I mean, face hard. And I love Eartha Kitt. Beautiful woman. Compromise for who? What is compromise? Like it's no compromise. And if y'all be watching me, y'all just seen me run the say hello to forever or welcome to forever. Because I feel as though I'm in my 40s or my close to my 50s and I still look good. And I do believe that I'm it. I am the prize. However, there's a difference between believing you're the prize and being high-minded. High-minded is equivalent to overactive self-esteem or self-esteem in overabundance or overly high self-esteem, however you want to look at it. Self-esteem on either end of the spectrum, but right here is equated to poor self-esteem. So when you go into where's the compromise, like he getting me, what I gotta do? She said at the end of that video, she said that she had to realize that she had fallen in love with herself and she needed for someone to come and share that with her. I think Eartha Kitt lived somewhere next to Kardashianville. I loved Eartha Kitt. Is that realistic? Would there be any accountability that she would take for any of her actions? The fact that you don't bend, you're not willing to bend at all? Like, how'd that work for him? How'd that work for y'all? Is there effective communication in that? I say yes. This is why I be saying I'm on my Kevin Samuels. Not because I feel like he was all the way right. There was so much that was not balanced. Kevin Samuels, that is why I stopped watching. I stopped watching. But I've gone back to rewatch because I stopped watching out of emotion. And just because I stopped watching out of emotion does not mean, again, that everything he said was right or agreeable. It means I needed to get my emotions in check and be able to watch these shows from a balanced place so that I can bring the information from a more balanced place. If there needs to be a check-in, check. If there needs to be a trashing, out it goes. That is what the Most High has said to me in this season. Take the gems and leave the trash on every set. On every set, baby. Shall I break down every set? On the job, in society, with my loved ones, with religion. Take the gems, leave the trash. With music artists, talk to you blue in the face. Even if you listen to music artists that you all know probably done did some crazy stuff, you probably listening to some music artists that done did some crazy stuff or will do some crazy stuff. If they make trash music, they make trash music. If they make good music and they're not so great a person, separate it, because you just like to be in the car and their music come on and your head just get to bobbing even though you don't like them anyway because their music good. I ain't making no excuses for the person. I feel like anybody that does anything wrong needs to be punished accordingly. I've always felt that way. I will always feel that way. Howsoever, take the gems, leave the trash. So, the next thing I wanted to talk about, because we're talking accountability. So I'm not going to talk about Anima yet. I'm going to talk about Anima because I made that video. I'm going to tell you how the Most High came to make sure that I talk about the name of the night. Like and share if you so please. So, Monique and DL. I love Monique. I love Monique. I have loved Monique since the Parkers. I have loved Monique since before the Parkers on Moesha. I was excited that she was able to get the Parkers by way of Moesha. I followed her comedy. I've been to her comedy shows. I loved her in the Queens of Comedy. I definitely understood her fight over the years. I have also said in this fight, the very first thing that I said, DL's basically one of them. He's still, this check this. Everybody that she talking about, everybody in society got a problem with already. Everybody that she talking about. And a couple of them have apologized. I hear Lee Daniels apologized. I think they said Tyler Perry tried to apologize on emotion. She and her emotion. I believe a lot of what she's doing right now is emotional. I will still say, Dale Hughley is in that group. The Oprah, the Steve Harvey. He's in that group. Okay. Monique got a contract and he don't. Monique got a contract and he don't. You say what you want to about her husband. There's a lot of women out here. If there's truth to what she's saying about DL, that means that his wife is married to a man that's doing things and stuff. They say that Monique's husband may be allegedly, allegedly DL. Allegedly. I had to learn how to say allegedly real good up here because I don't want no smoke. But of her own words, that man has taught her to be more feminine. That's what Anima is about. But men don't think Anima is for them. We're not gonna segue into Anima right now. But Anima is about learning how to be more feminine. That's what Kevin Samuels is about. He said we don't know how to be feminine. And anybody that know me, if y'all see, look, I'm the rough around the edge lady. Because I have learned how to be more feminine, but the fact of the matter is I may still bob and weave. When I exercise, I promise I'm exercising. My coworkers say on a regular basis, he is always like Missy Van. He's in the age range of my biggest group, 27, 25 to 34. And he is always like Missy Van. Turn that up. Because if I'm vibing, if I'm at work and I'm cleaning, I'm going to put on my Jay-Z radio. If I'm exercising, I'm going to put on my Jay-Z radio. And I have all kinds of playlists. I have my Everything playlist that has everything on it. My Everything playlist has R&B, hip-hop, alternative, gospel, jazz. You name it, it got it. You name it, it got it. My daughter that's about to be 30, when she listened to my Everything, Errthing, Errthing. When she listened to my Errthing playlist, she was like, dang, Ma, that's a nice playlist. I was like, you keep thinking that I got it from you, but you're my daughter. You're not meeting me 3,000, but you're meeting me 1.5. I does this. I do music. Duh. But anywho, I was good until she brought the baby into it. And I understand. She has broken it down in a way, and I can't even knock her, because the fact of the matter is, even though she brought the baby into it, and the baby may be grown now, and the daddy is saying, welcome, 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 and the daddy is saying, He's come out and he's apologized for it because he believed that he didn't keep his baby safe. Her aspect is, and it should be the aspect, and Sylvia is saying it from a very personal place. Her aspect is, your child should never tell you that they've been hurt by an adult and you say you don't believe them. And that was one of my places where I had to disagree with Kevin Samuels. Because, and that mother, the mother never broke her stride to say, well, yes, I would just believe my husband or my daughter. She just sat up there respectfully and had the conversation. I can appreciate any woman that did that, because there are also those women that believe that the only time that he was nice was when there was a quote unquote pretty woman up there, or a lighter skinned woman up there. And I can also attest to that not being the truth, because I watched. He was emotional. His Anima was not intact. And so he was on his raw too. He had not quite gotten, and I don't know if the Most High had given it to him. I can only attest to what the Most High gave to me. The Most High told me for 3 years straight that Ivy, don't allow my buttons to be pushed. See, I don't know if anybody or the Most High ever came to Kevin Samuels and was like, don't allow your buttons to be pushed. So if you came onto his platform, which once the Most High said, this is what you're going to be doing, I started going on and watching YouTube. I wasn't watching none of this stuff before 2018 when I got the word to church beyond walls. Got the word to church beyond walls before I left the church. I got the word to church beyond walls before I left the church. So I've been doing this since 2018. And I was told 3 times on the same platform, don't allow your buttons to be pushed. And it blew my mind, because first and foremost, I'm like, God, you got to be talking to me, because did anybody else hear this for 3 years straight? Did anybody else hear this for 3 years straight on the same platform? And then that whole first year, I kept having people come back to me in defense of me. People come back to me like, you ain't doing nothing wrong. I was doing my coworker's hair in her house. And one of her neighbors. See, I have to stop myself and pause, because I will very quickly say one of her neighbors plucked my nerves. Now watch my words. I allowed, because the Most High told me, don't allow your buttons to be pushed. I allowed that woman to pluck my nerves in such a way that I gave her the smoke. She was one of the ones that thought, because she had some finances, that her psyche was intact, or her confidence was, she wasn't ready for the smoke that I was ready to give. Because I don't care about your money and your status. If I command the room, respect comes with that. Respect comes with that. So because my daughter don't live out here in these houses that you all live in, and the young man that took her to the prom does not live, he came from the apartments up front. Oh well, they were invited to the houses in the back. And what, lady? My coworker the next day came to work after I gave it to her neighbor, and she put her neighbor out. She put her neighbor out. I ain't saying she ended the friendship, but she put her neighbor out, because I was like, look, Miss Martha, I will leave. I promise I will leave. Miss Martha was like, no. Miss Martha needed her hair to be finished too, but she came to work that next day and was like, Miss Yvette, my baby said that was not your fault. And her babies was upstairs. They were upstairs and they heard the whole thing. I generally don't mess with nobody. And so I generally don't like to be messed with. And so that's when you see the roar come in. That the Most High says, calm down the roar, baby. All that I'm saying is maybe Kevin Samuels never got that instruction because he was going to bring the raw if you brought it to him on his platform. Meaty X is going to cuss you out if you think you're going to bring it to her on her platform. She's going to cuss you out, and then she's going to block you. Kevin Samuels didn't cuss them out, but he would back them up and make them take the place that he felt like. This is another thing. He comes from a very biblical place, but your livelihood and everything did not particularly line up so much with the biblical place that you want relationships to come from, and I understand it. And I am in agreement with balance of it. Balance of it. Balance. So some things that just can stand to be done better. And I ain't saying different, just better. Things that can stand to be looked at, you know. But I definitely am in total agreement with the fact that we as women can stand to be softer. And a lot of times we don't know how. We don't know how. Most of the women that I know are rough around the edges, at least. Monique is in total defense of even bringing the baby's name into it, as I stated, because she feels as though D.L. Hughley should have never not believed his daughter. And I am in total agreement with that. I just am not in agreement that at this point, the thing that they're arguing over was the place to bring that in. His daughter's an adult and she's had to process this how she sees fit. I wasn't in agreement with that. And I also feel like they are adults and they're not handling this in the most adult way. It's just a lot for the internet. It's a lot. But I also agree that a lot of things that are going on the internet are to keep those that watch very distracted from some more important things like grocery shelves that don't have groceries on them in many stores. Formula that our babies can't get. I mean, if everything is hitting bam, 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 time one thing, slow down, or, you know, one piece of drama, slow down, then you got something else to follow. Can you really focus on the important things that need to be focused on? Can you focus on being your best self if you are so distracted with everything that's going on around you? Are you accountable to yourself for being your best self? Or are you good with staying stuck in your rut? Because if you're good with staying stuck in your rut, we're going to talk about a word for you when we talk about Anima. Because I'm still, I ain't going to say I'm baffled, but you have to know that this word is a word that has also been around. This word has been around since about 2020. So I've been going live since 2018. The word Anima came to me in 2020. And the Most High noticed that he has a baby that he has to push off the ledge. He had to push me off the ledge, tell me get up out that church. Been telling me for a year. He had been telling me for a year prior to COVID, leave. I took about a month prior to COVID to leave. Gave me direction to that I might need to go back. That was last year. That was the end of December, and I've been back twice. I just went back again on Sunday, and I believe that there's direction and instruction for the reason that I'm back. Um, and I just say, Lord, have your way, Lord. But again, excuse me. Also on that Monique and DL, I was watching Kaya, and she was giving her and I watched Kaya because my sister would have my head if I didn't. But she was giving her commentary on it, and she was basically saying this is why the babies act like they don't have good sense, because the adults, we're not really out here always showing a good example, and babies have access to the internet, and I don't know how parents are. I was the parent that'll check your phone, and and trying to find balance. I guess in this day and time, maybe parents are not checking phones, the way that they were. But the fact of the matter is, these babies have access to a lot, so they're seeing nonsense. Probably seeing nonsense more than they seeing good things and stuff. Yeah, and see, I just been talking about these women because that's who the Most High sent me to. I talked about last week. The number 1133, leader of silly women. So if the Most High bring me some women to talk about on this platform with the hopes of us being able to take the deepest and the closest and the hardest look at ourselves to see if there's anywhere that we can be better from the inside out, then yeah. I read Proverbs 5 the other day, and it's crazy. Lord, you gonna get me. I ain't even gonna mention it this day. Inside joke, y'all. Inside joke. I got it, Lord. Reading Proverbs 5, and it was basically like listen to the teacher now or suffer later. Not only am I on my Kevin Samuels, I do also believe that the Most High has me on my Jeremiah. Like fire shut up in my bones. This word is meant to be put out there. It is what it is. And it's crazy because it was another word that I was supposed to bring today. But it'll come. So also, the next woman that I want to talk about is Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes. When I think about Nene Leakes, I think about Dorian Lord. Why do I think about Dorian Lord when I think about Nene Leakes? Because Nene Leakes is the character that you love to hate or hate to love. And that was Dorian Lord on One Life to Live. You hated Dorian if you was like me. You hated Dorian and you loved her at the same time because she was so bad. She was good. Vicky was the one that you was just supposed to like. And Vicky and Dorian were like enemies. But then they became frenemies. Like in the end, Vicky and Dorian loved one another. They were like frenemies for real. And I look at Nene kind of like Dorian because she was just that chick on Housewives. You just hated to love her or you loved to hate her. Talking about Nene because Nene told Kim to don't spread her legs to marry me. Don't spread your legs to marry me. Don't spread your legs to marry me. It will make me think that one would check before they spread their legs. Yes. Rest in peace to Greg. So you're not a married woman. But you didn't say, Kim want no married woman either. You said, don't spread your legs to married men. And then You spread your legs to marry a man. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if there's multiple wives. I know he's an African. I think Storm might have said there's multiple wives, allegedly, y'all, allegedly. I might not have watched that one that good. But he's basically like, Mimi needs to stay with the man. Because she ain't gonna find nothing else. And all I thought about was when I was walking today, I was listening to Betty Wright. And Betty Wright was like, a piece of man is better than no man at all. And that's what it kind of felt like Storm was saying to Mimi, that a piece of man was better than no man at all. Y'all know Betty White was on her, don't blame Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie is just a man and he's doing the best he can. I heard him say, don't blame Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie is just a man and he's doing the best he can. So, Nene, is you going to stay with the man and have a piece of land? Or is you going to not spread your legs to marry me and now that you know he married? Because you said you ain't know he was married, but I think Nene knew that man was married. Yes, I think she knew he was married. I think that the Most High just Romans 2 and 1 her, like the Most High started doing me in order for me to stop judging folks. I don't know. I could be wrong. So, I also made, when I was making that video the other day about, well, I was making the video about high value men, but I had to start it off with saying that I had watched TikTok and it was like, if you still look good in your 40s and 50s, then you won't look good forever. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Anywho, but in that video, I came to talk about high value men because there is this influx of men that's just coming out on the scene. They supposed to be these high value men, and I'm just like, Debbie, why, Lord? Debbie, why? I'm not that chick. I'm not that chick that's running after nobody money. Running after your character. I'm running after nobody money. I ain't saying that it's not a certain look that I'm getting. You see people same way they see us. We see them. And, you know, after we talk, if your conversation does not meet my expectations, we're probably not going to have any more than that conversation anyway. So I had already watched this dude, Charleston White, and decided he was a whole hot mess. He can't. Look, when you got your eyes on people, it made me put my eyes on you. He can barely talk. And God knows that I'm the words woman, and it bothers me when people don't know how to use proper English. It really does. I don't step on anybody's toes about that, even though the Most High told me that I was going to be step on toes lady. I don't step on people's toes about that, but it does bother me when you use broken English because you don't know no better. I have had someone to come to me and ask me why I be talking in Ebonics. I be talking in Ebonics because I can, because I know how to speak properly. If I didn't know how to speak properly, I believe that I would probably be striving to learn how. But because I believe that I have a large vocabulary, I speak how I want when I want. And it's okay if that's what you feel like you want to do, but when you are very insulting to people and then you don't know how to speak. Charleston White is his name. He's some YouTuber. I don't know who he was before. I don't know if he was a sports somebody. I don't know who the man was. But I forgot forgot what even the video was that I was watching about him prior to. But when I watched, I think it was Lovely T who was talking about these Kevin Samuels. No, it wasn't Lovely T. It was Michi X. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It was Michi X, and I can appreciate it because Michi X did say that she was speaking about Kevin Samuels' followers so much more than she was speaking about Kevin Samuels. She said that she had many people that came on and said that if you go in and look at his content, which is what I believe that the Most High drove me to do, if you go in and you look at his content and not just based off of the clips that you're seeing on different social media platforms, you'll understand a little more. Now, where these dudes is going to the left, it's because they just have this thought process in their mind of what they feel like he's saying, and they just run with it. And what I've seen of most of them is most of y'all look don't even match his. Your mentalities definitely don't match his. It's some parts of their mentality, some parts of the parts that I be wanting to throw away, they match, and that's where they mesh. But then that other part, because this dude is like, he ain't know how to handle them hoes with money and good credit until Kevin Samuels came on and said, I ain't know how to handle them hoes with money and good credit. You're trying to handle hoes with money and good credit, then you getting handled the way you need to be getting handled. Then why is you trying to handle hoes first and foremost? Why are you trying to handle hoes? And what about the money and the good credit? If you're supposed to be this high value man, why don't you know how to handle properly a woman who has money and who has good credit? And why did you need another man to tell your high value tale how to handle a woman that got money and good credit? T.I., the other high value man that I've seen come forward since Kevin Samuels passed away, felt the need to not only encourage his son's behavior when he talked down about people who served him, and then like a clown fool went back in there and said, now give me my food. You know, lost everybody out in the restaurant. You still wanted the food. That was the first thing. And when I say that YouTube is talking about that part, that was the first thing I thought about when I watched the video. He went back at the end. You know, went out there. You got your phone from the beginning. So all I said was, this little boy is trying to get clout because you're not a gangster, because your daddy was a gangster. You don't become gangster by way of, not if he's not still in the life. If he was still in the life, that would be something different. He's not still in the life. So you're not a gangster, little boy. First and foremost, you're on all kinds of social media platforms probably so that all of your followers can see what you're doing in this restaurant. You demean the people that you are being serviced by. You demean a woman first and foremost. So then the man steps in. Then your daddy comes on and rationalizes all of that and tells you that you shouldn't be arguing with a short order cook. And then ends it with saying that he's going to get back to his rich life. To me, those are major character flaws. It's no amount of money in the world that can get rid of a character flaw. You can have all the money that you want, but if you're not checking for self, I said the Most High told me to not allow my buttons to be pushed. In order to not allow my buttons to be pushed, I have to check for self. I gotta check for self. It is no way, no how that you can not allow your buttons to be pushed and not look at yourself. Because then you become the person that's saying they push my buttons. Excuse me, y'all. That's what happened when you don't make your makeshift teleprompter. Then you become the person that says they pushed my buttons, making they responsible for you. Proverbs 5 said, listen to the teacher now, suffer late. I went and looked up, y'all know when I looked up, when we talked about accountability last week, I had looked it up in Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, and the first word that came up was answerable. So I went and looked it up in the dictionaries. And I looked it up in Strong's first because I was instructed that I'm supposed to use the Bible dictionary. Well, before I was instructed to use the Bible dictionary, I was instructed, not even inside the church building. I was instructed at work by one of my customers to study in Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. So that's whenever I see a number, I'm going to look it up there first before I go look up an angel number. Whenever I see a word or need to find the definition of a word, I'm going to look it up on Strong's Exhaustive Concordance first before I go look it up in any other dictionary. So I went and Google had responsibility. Dictionary.com had accountable, liable, and also had answerable. Cambridge is the one that I like because Cambridge broke it down like plain and simple, and I like Cambridge Dictionary. Excuse me. I thought I brought a bottle of water in here, and I didn't, and I really need it. Oh well. You don't have to work without it. Cambridge, the fact of being responsible for what you do and able to give a satisfactory reason for it. To be responsible, the fact of being responsible for what you do and able to give a satisfactory reason for it or degree to which this happens. And when I read that, the first thing that I thought about is there's no way for you to be accountable and say, they made me do it. They push my buttons. One of my clients is the day queen, and this is me. And I'm certain once I begin to dig deeper into my DSM and into what I'm about to go over now, I believe that I'll find backup. Like, yes, I deal with adults with mental illness. But these are some of the most, every person that I've ever met with mental illness is one of the smartest people that I've ever known. Intelligent, genius. The young lady that I had a tough time with last year was a law school student. My cousin that ran across roofs was a genius. I have family members that I know to be genius. Why? Because I believe that mental illness and genius go close. I believe that as I begin to study more, I'll find that out. Mental illness and genius go close. I don't think mental illness is something that just needs to be a month. Mental illness needs to be checked every day. Mental illness and mental disorder need to be checked every day. Why? Because we all deal with our psyche. With that being said, fast forward to Anima. I said I started talking about Anima. I started getting Anima in 2020. I used to play a word game called Wordscape. And I got that word. And I am the person, I've been speaking about this in the last couple of days with my daughters. When they was coming up, if they asked me, could I spell a word for them? I'll be like, you spell it. That's what I just did to my client the other day. The one that I said is very much, they did it. Rebecca. She's only 20. She's, Missy Beck, can you spell this word for me? No, but you can. And she spelled it almost halfway out. And then I helped her with the rest of it. And I told her, I said, if you'd have been my daughters, I would have told you go get the dictionary. I wouldn't have helped you with none of it. You would have found it in the dictionary. So when I don't know what a word means, I go look it up. And the fun thing about Wordscapes is I associate words with fun. Words are fun to me, y'all. I don't apologize for that. I love them. But the fun thing about Wordscape is when you tap on the word, it gives you the definition. So when I saw that word, I was like, anime? I thought it was anime. And then I went and tapped on it, and it did not give anything talking about a cartoon or anything like that. And so I'm like, okay, because it was like, it kind of got me. And so after that, I kept seeing it. I kept seeing that word in my word game, and not like back to back to back, but in spacious enough time where I'm saying, okay, God, you saying something to me about this word. I started screenshotting it. I started going to look it up a little more. And this is throughout the years. I found out the man who was responsible for the word. I'm just like, okay, Lord, what you want me to do with it? Same thing I said with the name of this podcast, Sylvie 414. What you want me to do with 414, Lord? I done looked it up in Strong's. I done looked it up in angel numbers. I done looked it up in Bible verses. I done did some things and some stuff researching this number. So what you want me to do with this Anima? And every now and then in my videos, I would throw a little bit in there about Anima. So Anima is basically the subconscious part of it. Well, it's going to break it down here as an idealized version of a woman that draws you into your feminine energy. For anybody that might not know, feminine energy, male and female energy is scientific, and it's scientific that we exhibit both male and female energy, male and female chromosomes. It's scientific. And the fact that we flock to one side or another is emotional. That's what Anima deals with. The fact that we are overly masculine, whether we're a man or a woman, whether we're an overly masculine woman or an overly masculine man, is emotional. Whether we're an overly feminine woman or whether we're an overly feminine man, is emotional. The Most High wants us somewhere right here in most parts of life, in most aspects of life, somewhere right here. Over there. That's totally. Remember I talked about totally the other day? Anytime you is totally, you're delusional. Totally on one end of the spectrum. Delusional. Balanced. Even if we mess around right there or right there, somewhere near balance is where we want to be. We don't want to be over here near totally on one end or the other. We want to try to get to balance. And if we don't look at ourselves, we're never going to get to balance. And that's going to make us the last one of the 8 archetypes that I'm about to talk. I'm not going to go into them deeply. I'm going to just give y'all the reason that I know I'm supposed to be talking about Anima. So I made the video about the Anima. I've been studying shadow work. I've been starting to study shadow work. It's been probably about a month. I just made that video last week about Anima. Shadow work is dealing with looking at your inner self, your inner emotional self. And Carl Jung, because after I made the video about Anima, I went in to start seriously buckling down on the shadow work, because I just was going in it and either looking at the page and like I wasn't doing it the way I needed to. So after I made the video about Anima, not even after, today, I went in, no, yesterday, to read the video on shadow work. Read the article on shadow work. And as I was reading, it mentioned Carl Jung's name, and I just backed up. So, are you serious, Lord? I just made it because that name is unforgettable. I just made the video on Anima, Lord, and I'm in the video about shadow work, and this is about me. I know you told me to talk about Anima, but this is the shadow work we talk about me, Lord. This is me and the shadow work, because I have said I'm on this journey. If you care to come with me, come with me. We can come in these rooms together. If you want to stay where you at, stay where you at. So I'm on shadow work and I'm reading this like Carl Jung, and I'm like, yo, Carl Jung, Anima, Lord, that's Anima man. Shadow work man is Anima man, Lord. I just said on the video a few days ago, we're going to talk about Anima, and then I come in and talk about shadow work, to read about shadow work for me. And shadow work bring me to Anima man. And shadow work is based on self-analyzation. So I wouldn't be telling y'all about self-analyzation if I won't self-analyzing. I like self-analyzing. It ain't always easy. It don't always feel good, but it's going to bring us to the best us. It's going to bring us to the best us. And not wanting to self-analyze is just going to have you putting on a persona, which is also in the 8 archetypes. This excites me. This excites me because I didn't ask for it. Shadow work, it says suppressing suppressing your feelings will offer dangerous consequences. You're gonna have triggers, emotional triggers from this unresolved behavior. And at the right moment, which is generally the wrong, because it's something bad that's gonna trigger you. But it says at the right moment, wrong is in parentheses. You're gonna be triggered by this thing. In order to do shadow work, true shadow work, it's going to take training, self-awareness, self-analyzation. Do I have degrees? No. Have I lived this thing? Yup. Did I seek ye first the kingdom? Yup. Did people come down on me because I ain't take my finances seriously as they needed me to? Yup. Did I say, oh well, I'm gonna seek ye first the kingdom and level up in my mindset? Y'all seen me post today. This is the mature year, Joya Boom's time. Let me shout out Joya Boom's time. This is the mature year. Working on our money, our mind, our mindset. What was the other M? Our mouth. God won't gonna let me forget this one this time, because he said, check that mouth, girl. Check that mouth. It's the mature year. In order to do healthy shadow work, you're gonna have to train. You're gonna have to want to be aware of yourself. You're gonna need guidance and courage. Mr. Jung gives 8 archetypes to help with shadow work. It first talks about yourself, which is the center of your personality or your psyche, meaning your conscious awareness of yourself. Your shadow, which is that inside, that dark and emotional aspect of your psyche. For whatever reason, whether they come from childhood, bad relationships, whatever it is that's unresolved that you haven't dealt with, that shadow. After the shadow, Anima. It's on the archetype. I didn't even have to go look it up. Because once I started reading the shadow work video, after I said, I opened my mouth and said, we gonna talk Anima. And the Most High said, I ain't gonna let you forget. That's basically I ain't gonna let you forget. So Anima is the 3rd archetype. It's an image of an idealized woman that draws people into their feminine side. Whether you're a man that needs some feminine because you just don't. Go check the science if I have bothered your ears. Male, female chromosomes, they come in all humans. Male, female energies in all humans. And if either human wants to negate it, they suffer dangerous consequences. I'm going to hit Proverbs 5 again. Listen to the teacher now. Suffer later. See what y'all made me do? That's because my thing is not sturdy. Okay. And it really is. I just kind of pushed it. It really is. I just kind of pushed it. But anywho, and then next there was Animus. Animus is the part of you that has the capacity for reflection and self-knowledge. So you have the capacity to have knowledge of yourself. You have the capacity to reflect on yourself. You just have to choose if you want to or not. It's a choice. You're either going to want to reflect or you're not. You're either going to be good with sitting in your woe is me or you're not. You're either going to want to draw that negative attention or you're going to want to raise your confidence. It's vanity and confidence, baby. You could dress it up and make it look pretty. You can make it look real pretty. But that's going to do nothing for the inside parts, because the inside parts going to feel how they're going to feel. I don't care how pretty it looks on the outside. I just made the video and I didn't even share that one to all platforms. I was on Instagram and I heard the sound. You know, you can save the sound or do the audio or whatever. And the sound was like, it said something about, I love a female that can slay one day and look homeless the next. And I said, ooh, Lord, that's me. And went and found 2 pictures, slaying, bow, and looking homeless. It is what it is. Guess what? Even when I was in the homeless shelter, building confidence. Because the Most High said, you gonna do this. I'm not gonna allow this to be easy for you to do. I had on my Me Versus Me shirt the other day, and the man asked me, he was like, that's the hardest thing, that the hardest person you got? Oh, something about it being the hardest. And at this point, it's not. I love the fact that I can look at me and be better. There would have been a time where I could have answered that to him and been like, yeah. But that was more so when self-reflection was a little bit more of a difficulty for me. Not so much. Not so much, because I desire to be better every day. And it's some things inside of my control, you know. I struggle with some things that I want to be better and they don't. I struggle with some things and some stuff. But I desire as a whole to be better. I never want to sit in anything that is not going to be conducive with growth, up to and including understanding that the Bible does not just say honor thy mother and thy father, but it also says don't provoke your children to anger. Got to be able to see me. It's not always them. Sometimes it's us. If we must break chains, we must know that. It's not always them. Okay, so the next one is the persona. The persona is the mask, basically. I called it the mask of mass protection. The persona is what you want the world to see. And that takes me back to, I so wish I knew what the name of that daggone sermon was that my pastor preached about them balls. That football had a big tear in it, which meant that you saw that person. You know, they say you're not supposed to look like what you go through. That football was looking like what it was going through. That football was looking like you toe up from the floor, up from the inside out. And then he had the blue basketball, the pretty basketball. Like I said, you could pretty it up on the outside, the pretty basketball. I remember when the Tar Heel basketball came out, and I've said that on this platform before. My brother's a Tar Heel fan. So when that Tar Heel basketball came out, he fell in love with it. Was a Tar Heel basketball. I fell in love with it was blue. It's such pretty blue. Even though I watch basketball. When my pastor bounced that basketball, it never bounced off the ground because it was flat on the inside. It just looked real pretty. And then he came out with the orange ball because my pastor was a baller, and so he started doing baller things. And every time he bounced, that joke, it popped back off that floor. That was the balanced ball. The ball that had gone through some things, because it was an older ball. It wasn't as new and as pretty as the blue ball, but it had gone through some things and learned how to work through some things and learned how to self-analyze. And it come to a very confident place in life. Some of them videos I post, I look on a regular basis. Some of the videos I post, I think I look rather pretty on. Some of the videos I post are indifferent. I have been the football. I have been the blue basketball. I am so very orange right now. So now I get a little bit of everything. What you won't get is broken confidence. That's what you won't get. Next, you have the hero. The hero took me back to One Life to Live yet again. The hero is the part that overcomes evil and destruction. And I thought about the hero. I thought about Vicky Buchanan again, not Dorian Lord this time. I thought about her struggle with her mental illness, Vicky and Nikki. Because Nikki came out to protect Vicky at all times. Nikki was the hero. Nikki was the hero. And whenever Vicky needed her, she came out guns a-blazing, buddy. Until she overtook her. You do not want the other personality to overtake you. Because split personality is a real thing. It's in DSM. I have read up on that a little bit. I've read up on some things. I can do more in the DSM because the Lord blessed me with the DSM. But I have done some studying in it already. And so after the hero, you have the wise old man. And the wise old man is the personification of self that contains your wisdom. Wisdom is different than knowledge. Wisdom is knowledge applied. You're going to learn about it and you ain't going to do it. It ain't doing you no good. Wisdom is knowledge applied. And then we have the trickster. And the trickster is the childish part of your psyche that needs gratification. That's the part of your psyche that likes to say, they did it to me. They made me do it. It's their fault. I ain't do nothing wrong. They're wrong. They're the witches. Yeah, the trickster. Watch out for the trickster. The trickster will get you. The trickster will have you thinking you was all the way right about everything. Whew. No bueno. And I think this is the one else. Yeah. Last but not least, the shadow. Oh no, we did the shadow. Oh, okay. It was just stating that Carl Jung basically states that the shadow is a dark and emotional place, as well as it can possibly be an inferior or immoral place. That's not always the case, but it is a very dark and an emotional place that a lot of people don't like to go to. So tonight in accountability, I'm imploring you to take a look at your shadow. To be accountable for that unresolved thing or those unresolved things. To start working towards some training. some self-awareness, some courage, because it's not easy to face yourself. But I asked God. I asked God. I asked God for patience. I guess people. I know I asked for patience. I asked God for patience. I asked God to show me myself, good, bad, and indifferent. Can't be better if you're not willing to see that. And look, that man talked to me about patience, and he said, because he said I have a car. He ain't driving his car on purpose. He ain't driving his car because of all of the money to get, not just gas, property. He was like property tax. Da, 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 da. He was like, da, da, da. He said, and I know one thing that God is teaching me about on this book: extreme patience. I said, yeah, God already told me. Extreme patience. Sylvie's adventures on the bus call for extreme patience. But that patience is not just for on the bus. That patience is for everything that the Most High has for me moving forward. I asked for patience pre-2012. I may have asked for it's probably closer to like 2006 or 7. And the things that the Most High has allowed in order to incorporate patience into my life, it has been a journey. It has been a journey. But yeah, that's all I got tonight, y'all. I said I was going to talk about Anima. I talked about Anima. Said I was going to talk about Monique and them and Eartha Kitt and them. Talked about them. Oh, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Y'all, I'm a big Johnny Depp fan too. I'm a big Johnny Depp fan, just like I'm a big Monique fan. I was not mad at how that decision went. They both got their suits, but Amber Heard is the one that owes money. Amber Heard is a hot mess. If you looked at and watched any of her body language during that trial, you could see the entitlement. Like, if we talking about the entitlement of the others, we have to be able to talk about the entitlement of women, because the number 127 made me think that this platform was just for Black women. While the number 127 is if you look it up and look up some words that are associated in the Bible verses attached to it, it will make you think that it's just for Black women. But the Most High told me on that same platform that the Most High said, don't allow your buttons to be pushed for 3 years. From one of those same preachers, the Most High said, don't make it a Black thing. So this is for the women's. But I also wanted to say that Johnny Depp, you also would have to take responsibility for your actions, because you wanted a younger model and you got one. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So you was out there wilding out. And so you got what you asked for, baby. You got what you asked for, and I still love you, buddy. 21 Jump Street, Edward Scissorhands, you name it, I Johnny. I am a fan, buddy. Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm really, really upset that you allowed yourself to get involved with a woman that you allowed to rip all that out your hands, my dude. But you live and you learn, or you don't. But y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of y'all evening. Thank y'all for chilling with me for a split. Sylvie the Rough Edge Lacy said toodles. Can I end my stream? Oh, that's not a